Shalom, family. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are tuning in the world. Guys, today I'm going to do something a little bit different. And I want you guys to listen very carefully to the end because usually we will have this conversation behind the scenes, right? Usually we will, tell people that signs up and things like that what is going on the continent, around the continent in Asia with the people that we talk to that travels a lot and they can actually give us the information, right, that is on the ground where they are. So make sure you like the video, leave your comments below if you are in this country that I'm going to talk about, and let me know how things are there. If this is something true, if this is something that people should consider and understand before going there, right? So, guys, look, I know the other day, I want to say yesterday, yes, yesterday, I did the video and I mentioned my uncle, right? My uncle, he is 71 years young, right? And this is an uncle I remember thinking that he was like Superman, right? This is one of the reasons why I got into personal training and like bodybuilding and stuff because my uncle, he used to travel. I think he was like an engineer, and he used to travel all around the world, like every country, leave for 6 to 9 months, come back for family reunions, come by and stop by the house and stuff like that. And I remember being like 6 or 7, and every time I see him, um, he's a big guy, he got some muscles. So I will punch him in the stomach as hard as I can. Boom, 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 right? And that's my memory of him, right? So I left him a message, uh, pretty much telling him like, "Dang, Uncle, do you remember this?" He's like, "Man, D," because my family know me as DJ, and yeah, he's like, "Man, I remember that." And then he called me, and he's in Thailand. He is retired. He's retired from a good job, and he chose Thailand to retire in, right? So he's kind of giving me the backstory and stuff like that, and telling me his experience in Thailand. So I kind of want to give you guys that because sometimes it is good to hear from people that's on the ground, that's been on the ground for a couple years. And I want to say the best people to listen to, obviously, is the people, older people with wisdom. You get what I'm saying? That really does this, right? And has the experience traveling and going to country and having the local life in a way, experience the local food, experience the local way, right? So this is why we say like talk to people on the ground, be in communities um, like ours, so you guys can see like, okay, this is the real, this is the real. So he was telling me it's one thing that's um, I'll say good. Yeah, I'll go into the good and then I'll get into the bad, right? So the good thing for him, he does travel back to the States sometime. I want to say like after a year or so. And he says he travels back to get a checkup um, at his doctor and everything like that. And he said the past year or the past couple years, he goes back to the doctor and he gets a physical checkup and stuff like that. And he said the doctor said that he gets better and better. Like his test results are better than way before, even when he was 50, even when he was 40 and stuff. So I'm like, yeah, man, that's good. That's good. So he's telling me like, yeah, I could definitely see that because it's more organic food out here. There is more, healthy sunlight that I get. And then I walk every day. I get up, I walk the neighborhood, say hello to my people. I go to coffee shops. I walk and get my exercise, right? Sometimes he might go to the gym and get his workout in because he still got some muscles. Don't get me wrong. He still got some muscles at 71. So he's telling me this, and I'm like, man, that is great. That is awesome to hear. This is a blessing that you are able to experience that. And I'm telling him my experience too, just being in Tanzania, been here in Mauritius, right? And I'm like, it's very similar. It's very similar. We're joking around. talking about the local dogs and how that's probably the worst thing that you will experience. You get what I'm saying? I know we get a lot of questions from people that haven't traveled to Africa, and they say, "Hey, is there wild animals and this and that?" If I walk down the street, and I'm like, "No, I mean the worst thing probably is like, wow, the dogs that's out, and then they're pretty much scary. You pick up a rock and they run, so that's probably the worst thing, and that's something that we was joking about and stuff." And he was telling me that when you get to Thailand, of course, you have to have your paperwork in order, have your bank statements and stuff like that in order. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of things are changing. So I asked him about the new residency that they have. Like if you pay up the rent up for a year, um, or you get a lease and you pay that rent up for a year, you can get year to year residency, right? Or if you can buy like an apartment or a house or something or condo or villa, they would give you 10 years, right? So I'm asking him about that, and he said, "Yeah, I hear that on the ground, but they're still, changing a lot. This is one thing that people have to understand, that they do change a lot. I believe that is still in effect, that you can go there and do the year or 10 years. So that's a blessing right there. And I'm hearing it from somebody that is retired there, that is, that have been living there for a long time, right? If that's, going back and forth, but I know this last 2 years, he's been there permanently. Um, so that's something that I know that is true, right? So the thing that he said, and it's not. I guess it's not. I guess it depends on who you ask. This is a good thing and a bad thing in a way. He said the weather there is super super hot, right? He said, yeah, when it's the summertime, because usually in these countries, Africa, some countries in Asia and stuff like that, here on this side of the world, they only have like 2 seasons in a way. Certain countries, don't get me wrong, certain countries they probably have uh, three. Back in America, Ohio, we have four. You get what I'm saying? So it's usually summer and winter, or rainy season, non-rainy season. But he said when it's summertime and it's hot, the sun gets so hot. He said it's about 103 degrees, feeling like 110. And I'm like, whoa, wow, that's something different, because like we're kind of going back and forth comparing Mauritius and Thailand in a way, and I'm telling him, yeah, Mauritius here it's like 80 degrees, um, and it probably gets to like at the most 93, feels like 95, 96 or something, and it's a steady breeze and stuff, and I'm trying to convince him to come here to Mauritius, right? Because they do have an awesome retirement residency, and it's good for 10 years. Thailand is a little bit different. You have to prove a little bit more. You got to have some type of money in the bank. So, this is something that we go over in our mature adult intensive. We don't just say Africa, Africa, Africa. We break down certain residencies and countries. So the country could be Thailand, country could be the Philippines. The country could be Panama. It could be Mexico. You get what I'm saying? It could be Brazil. It could be Mauritius. It could be Rwanda. It could be, Botswana. And even when I'm naming these countries, talking to people in certain countries, and the community that we have, it's a blessing, because when our client signs up for the mature adult intensive, or one-on-one consultations, they get this information that we get, because there is a country that I just named. I'm not going to say the country, but their government is going through something right now, and they are making it difficult for people to get residency. So I just explained this to our client last week. I had to reschedule the call because actually we were giving birth at the time, and we were leaving the hospital, and she was perfectly fine. She's an awesome lady, and we had to reschedule for the next day. And she said one of these countries, and I was telling her, you got to be careful, because this is what we're hearing right now on the ground in that country. because yeah, you think it was okay, then you get there, it might be a whole different story. So with that being said, um, and yes, the country that I'm talking about is on the continent of Africa. So that's why I say things change a lot, and that's one thing that my uncle was telling me. Like, yes, Thailand, they've been doing a lot of cleaning up their country in a way. You know, there was a lot of illegal activity going on with certain nations. I'm not going to say any certain nations, but there's some nations there. You know, there's the Chinese, there's the Russians, he said, there's the Israelis. You get what I'm saying? There's nations there, right? And when these nations, so I guess this is the only bad thing that um, people have to understand before going to the country. There's going to be nations in certain neighborhoods, and then their influence is going to rise the price up. Their influence is going to, you know, that's going to be in their neighborhood. Get you, they invite their friends. So similar to, uh, I guess kind of what we do. I remember in Tanzania, we were one of the first families there, and I want to say 2020. Then we started to do, videos about Tanzania, consultations, and a lot of people start going to Tanzania. A lot of people start going to Tanzania, and there's certain neighborhoods that people like, and you know listen, and they get the advice for cheaper rent and stuff. So I can see this happen with any nation, every nation that goes to countries. You get what I'm saying? But I know there's one thing that my uncle said about the Chinese. They had to get kicked out of a certain neighborhood and the country of Thailand. It was about 6, 7 thousand of them because they was doing illegal um, gambling types. I guess uh, what's the thing called, blackjack and casino. They was doing like illegal casinos and stuff like that. And I'm like, dang, I didn't, when you look at Thailand, you don't really think about stuff like that, right? Um, and then he was saying, the Russians is heavy there. People from Ukraine starting to be there. The Israelis is there, where they kind of run certain neighborhoods. And I don't want to say like run because it's not their country, but their influence is in certain neighborhoods. And my uncle, he was like, yeah, that's the only thing that rubs me wrong, because yeah, when I first got here, it wasn't like this. And they're rounding up people, they're cleaning up the country. So as they're cleaning up the country, of course, the tourism is going down. And I want to say, he said it was Thailand depends on, I think tourism is 20% of Thailand's GDP. You get what I'm saying? So that's a big thing. That's a big thing. 20%, that's huge. So they're trying to figure out ways, just like I mentioned earlier, about the year-to-year lease, and buying a property and getting 10 years. So they're trying to fix things, and you just, in this world that we are in, I don't know how governments, I don't know how systems, I don't know how they are going to be moving from now on. And this is every country, to be honest. So this is why we always tell people, you have to choose the right country. I'm telling you, because if you go to a country and the government is kind of in a shift in a way, and try to do away with what the last government did, yeah, it's going to be tough to get residency. It's going to be tough to kind of move around. It's going to be corruption, especially now where countries are struggling to get resources. This is something big. This is something real big. Countries are struggling to get resources, so the corruption is going to increase. So this is why we always say go to the least corrupt countries. I'm not saying there's no corruption. I said the least corrupt countries. Make sure that you do your research. Make sure you talk to someone that's on the ground in that country. You get what I'm saying? And this will, really advance you with your move, with your travel. So there's a lot of things that people have to know how to move around. And I'll say that's the most important thing. So I wanted to do this video so people can get the knowledge and the information from myself, because I do have family there. We do have clients, and I still say family, because once I talk to somebody, I'm telling you. And leave a comment below if you have been on a consultation with me, and then we joke around like family. There was a client just the other day. They had we had similar last names. Our last name is Jones, and I was like, man, you guys might be family. And we was joking around and just having a good old time. So that's why I say, like, when you get behind the scenes with us, any questions, anything, we gonna be family. We gonna make sure that we are good, and that's on our part. That's on your part too. So it gets down to loving your neighbor. So that's very important. But yeah, guys, I think that's it. I wanted to give you this story because the most important thing is to be connected with a community that is connected with people all around the world. So that can be in Hawaii, that can be in Thailand, that can be in South Korea, the Philippines, Vietnam, of course, here on the continent, pretty much all the popular countries here on the continent, and some that's not very popular. So that's very important too, because what is coming, you have to know how to move around. It's very, very important. Just please know how to move around, and you should be good. So, guys, check the links in the description if you guys would like a one-on-one consultation. That's either travel, that's either move, that's either trading and investing, the strategy, how to move your money around. Because I've been getting a lot of people that um, got some assets, right? And when they liquidate their assets, they just want to know how to move their money around. They want to know the right country to go to have that good investment, right? So that's something that I give advice on. So if you guys need that, check the links in the description. That is a one-on-one session with me when it comes down to strategy, when it comes down to finances. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just your brother. And I can tell you what I do. I can tell you what I know. Also, the mature adult intensive is going to be open today because someone did email us and was very interested in it. And so we just going to decide to open it a little bit early. So if you guys are interested in a mature adult intensive, the link will be below. You can visit our website at www.journeywithus move to africa.com/services, and you can read the sales page there, and if that's right for you, I'm telling you, that's probably the best thing to do. That's why I like to talk to wiser people, like my uncle, 71 years young, like the people that took the mature adult intensive and can give me the information that I can learn, because I'm 32. They might be 30 years older than me, 40 years older than me, 20 years older than me. So I'm always a student. And yeah, guys, I can go on and on. So all praises to the Most High, guys. Make sure you like the video, leave your comments below, share this with someone that you love and appreciate, and I'll talk to you in the next video. Shalom.